right? Let me introduce Selenium to you. Like, what is basically Selenium? Hold on. If you go to the website, the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org, right? Hold on. If you go to this website, then if you read the first line, right? The first line on this website is Selenium automates browsers. Okay, it's an automation testing tool which can only be used with browsers. Alright, I would request you to keep yourself on mute, right? Because I'm recording the session and unnecessary noise comes up in the background, right? So please keep yourself on mute. When you ask a question, you can unmute yourself after that. Okay. Now this is an automation tool. Selenium is an automation tool which can only automate browsers. It cannot automate your desktop applications or something. Now it can also be used with Android and iPhone, but in Android and iPhone you can only test like only test your website basically, how your website works in Android or iPhone. Don't think that you can test native Android or mobile applications and all with Selenium. Right now, this tool has evolved over a period of time. Like I worked on it for the first time somewhere in 2007. Right. So there were various components for this tool. Let's see how this tool has evolved over a period of time, and then we can actually go into the tool. All right. So, Charu, like, are you able to hear me? You're saying that you're not able to hear me.
It's okay. It's fine.
Okay, fine. So, like, how this tool has evolved over a period of time. Now, initially, there were components. There were components like these. Hold on. Right, there's something known as Selenium RC, then IDE, then GRID. Okay, now IDE is a tool which is primarily basically used on only Mozilla browser. Many of you might have worked on it, many of you might have seen it, right? And it's not a tool which you can use if you have large scale test cases, like if you have around 2000 test cases and all. So IDE is not a tool which can be preferred. You will also not get any good reports and all. You cannot expect good reports to come up in IDE, right? Moreover, if you want to test on multiple browsers, then also IDE is not preferred. But the thing is, it is a very powerful tool and it's a simple record run tool, right? But it is a very powerful, right? Very good to start with, fine. But practically in industry, looking at the kind of projects we have, big projects, we really cannot use it. Okay, so way back then in 2006-7, they had something known as Selenium RC. All right, now Selenium RC could test, sorry, could test on multiple browsers, right? It could test your application on, say, Mozilla. It could test on IE. It could test on Chrome, Opera, and all that stuff. But you had to learn a programming language. It was available in various programming languages like Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, Perl, PHP, and there's some issue. And anyways, right? So you had to learn a programming language like Java, Ruby, Perl, Python, PHP. I'm sorry, right? So you had to have a programming language skill required for learning Selenium RC. Fine. Selenium RC is something which can test in multiple browsers, right? It can work on various languages. It also generates good reports and all that stuff, right? But again, in Selenium RC, there were various drawbacks. Okay, if you have ever worked on RC, then in Selenium RC, primary drawback which was evidently clear to everyone was that you had to open a command prompt, okay, and you had to actually start a server. Fine. Now, many times what used to happen was the server never used to get started and the port used to be closed, and people used to end up restarting their machines or something like that. So that was one of the primary disadvantages. Others were also there. There were many features which were not there, right? There were many things which were missing in it. Okay. So what happened was Google and ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is the company which made Selenium in the beginning, right? So they both came together and they made something known as Selenium WebDriver, or it's also known as Selenium 2.0 or WebDriver, right? It could also work on multiple languages like Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, Perl, multiple browsers, right? And it could also generate reports and all that stuff which Selenium RC could do. But there were many added advantages to it, right? There was no server. Then if you want to multiple components from a page and all, it was easy. Then they had different types of weights and all. So I'll not discuss the intricacies right now, but 2.0 was WebDriver was much better than RC, and that's what I'm going to take in the training. If you're learning Selenium fresh, you can learn WebDriver directly. RC and WebDriver are not at all interrelated with each other. Both are completely different. Okay, WebDriver came in 2011, right? People who have worked on RC and when they look at WebDriver, they are not at all able to understand it. These two tools are completely different. Don't think that there was an upgrade from RC to WebDriver. There was no upgrade. Okay, so both of them are very different. IDE as a tool IDE has remained same. Only the versions have changed, right, over a period of time. And grid has evolved up to like into something known as hold on, grid 2. Okay. Now grid 2 supports WebDriver as well. What is grid basically? I'll give you a brief overview. In grid we have something known as a hub, right? And with hub we connect various nodes. Fine. And on these nodes, you can run the test cases parallelly and control the test cases from the hub. Okay. So this makes you faster. For example, if you have got 6,000 test cases, so you can distribute 2,000 test cases per node and execute them. Or if you have to test on Mozilla Firefox on Chrome, so what you can do is on one node you can test the application on Mozilla, on the second node you can test it on on the third node you can test it on Chrome. Okay, so there are various nodes which are available in GRID. Fine, right? So we will be talking about that, right? GRID has evolved into GRID 2. GRID 2 supports WebDriver as well. Fine. So I'll start with Selenium now. Basically the first thing which you need to do when you start with Selenium is that you need to learn Java, right? I've been training people since quite a long time. Fine. And what I feel is that where people fail, they fail in Java. They tend to ignore Java and they directly start with WebDriver, and then they are not able to understand it. They lose their interest and the story ends, right? So please don't ignore Java. Java is important. You need to understand the concepts of object-oriented programming. Like at times I have seen people are telling me that fine, there is no documentation available for Selenium. There is nothing. Look, everything is available. All right. If you go to the download section, you will see that there is a Javadoc option over here, right? Javadoc is nothing but uh, Java documentation of Selenium. If then you get the complete documentation. This is complete documentation for Selenium. The only thing is you need to have the understanding of Java language. You need to know the concepts of object-oriented programming, right? Then only you can understand this documentation. Okay. So please don't ignore Java. Don't think that fine we can use with little knowledge of Java I can do it, right? Little knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge. Okay. So in this course I'll be starting with Java as well, but I'm assuming basic things. I'm assuming basic things that you have the knowledge of like something known as say if statements. You know what for loops are, right? Then you have basic knowledge of functions and stuff, like this, right? So okay, so you have basic things, you know basic things. That's what I am assuming. If you don't know these things and if you are not at all aware of programming, then I would recommend you not to go for the course directly. Okay, uh, go for the videos. Like in the videos I have covered everything, and later on you can join the course by paying the remaining fee. All right, there is no need to rush up, right? So let's start with Java. I hope Java is installed with everyone is installed Java because you were able to join the WebEx conference. Okay, the next thing which you need to do is that you need to download Eclipse. Fine, Eclipse is the editor for Java in which you will write all the code and all. So just go to Google and type download Eclipse, and you go to Eclipse downloads. And you download this one, Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. The size is around 247 MB, depending on whether your machine is 64-bit or 32-bit or 64-bit, right? If you have a 64-bit machine, then it would be good that if you also download JDK. JDK is Java Development Kit. It's the complete Java installation. You might have installed JRE, but if you have a 64-bit machine, also install JDK. JDK is available over here. This is the link. I'll share the link with everyone on WebEx chat. This is the link. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So I'll move with Java now. So anybody having any questions? Anybody with any questions till now?
Okay, Chris here, Ashish. Okay, we're just following what you are doing, but we will later, when we finish the class, we can download this stuff. We are not downloading and installing this stuff at the moment, correct?
I'm not able to understand you, Chris. Your voice is echoing.
Look, okay. When we will have chance to do this after the training, we should download that stuff, correct? We are not downloading this Java and everything during that training or session, correct?
Yeah. After the class, you can.
Okay.
You will get the recorded session.
Okay, you will give us the recorded session, and we can access to the recorded session. Okay, understand now. Thanks.
Okay, all right, fine. So you have downloaded Eclipse over here, and you see that it will be somewhere over here. Like in my machine, when you hold on, I'll just show it to you. Eclipse comes as a bundle. You'll get a zip file. You will have to extract that zip file, and after extracting it, you'll see something like this. Okay, in this, just run eclipse.exe, and Eclipse will start up. There is no installable for Eclipse. Okay, there is no installation. It directly opens. You just have to download and extract this. Right, when you start Eclipse, the first window which you get is the workspace launcher. Look, I'm starting from the very basics, right? So please be with me. Many of you might be knowing all these things, but I want to start with the basics because people really don't. Some of the people out there, they are very new. Okay, so I will make a workspace path. This is the path where I will be storing all the Java code which we make for this particular batch. Okay, so workspace is nothing but the place where you store all your projects and all everything. Fine, you can select a path by clicking the browse button as well. So click on OK and Eclipse will open up in some time. Alright. I'm sorry. Charu, are you able to hear me? She was saying that she's not able to hear me. Right. So this is Eclipse. It's just started. Right. This is the welcome screen. You can close the welcome screen over here. And when you work with Selenium, right? When you work with Selenium, you have to work in Java perspective. If you in Eclipse, if you see on top, there will be this icon. Okay, click on this icon and click on Java over here. If you don't see Java, then you click on other and you will see all the perspectives available. Fine. With Eclipse, you have to select Java perspective. When we work with Selenium, we work in the Java perspective. Click on that. There'll be slight change in screen, but that's okay. Fine. So you can close all these things on the right side. Fine. So these are the three panels in Eclipse. Okay. The central panel is the one in which you will do all the coding. On the left side, there is a panel where you will store all the projects, and at the bottom panel, you will see the output coming up, errors coming up, or whatever it is. Right? So there are three basic panels. Fine. You have to start with Eclipse by creating a basic Java project. right? That you can do by simply going to File menu, going to New, and you can select Project over here. Fine. In project, you will have the option of Java out here. You expand this and select Java. Alright. Click on next. Give your project some name. I'll name my project as day 1. Fine. Click on next and finish. Okay. So this is the day 1 project which I have made. If you expand this, you will see a source folder inside it, and you will see GRE system library. GRE system library is actually Java which you installed on your machine, right? It is currently associated with this project. That's why, when you install Eclipse, before installing Eclipse, make sure you have installed Java, JDK and all everything. Fine. Now, in this project, if you right click, hold on, yeah, you will see lot of options coming up, and we will be using these options regularly in the training. Fine. One of the options in the end is properties, which is very important. If you go to properties, you see the various project properties out here. We will be using this. Fine. And under resource property, you see the path of the project is mentioned, right? The path of the project is actually under the workspace which we had created while launching Eclipse. Okay, you can copy this path and physically go to this path as well. So this is the path where the project is lying. There are various various folders inside it. Dot settings, bin, source, and some files, out of which only the source folder is visible inside Eclipse. You will be able to find the source folder inside Eclipse. Alright, fine. So this source folder is the main folder. In this folder, you keep all your Java files and all everything. Java code, everything is kept out here, right? So please don't think that I'm telling very basic things. If you know all these things, I have to tell it because there are people who don't know stuff out here, right? I'm starting from very basics. I'll go to advanced, different kinds of frameworks. I'll cover everything, all right? So this is the source folder. If you have to create a new Java file, you have to right click on the source folder, select new and class. Class is also known as a Java file basically. You select that and name the file as, say, sample.java, right? Select the option public static void main out here and finish. Wait, I'll just increase the font size, just hold on. Right, I hope it's visible clearly now, right? So when you create a class, right, you get a code like this, public class sample. The name of the class and the name of the Java file which you have over here, both these names should be same. You cannot keep a different name for a, immediately Java will start throwing an error. You'll see a red line coming up. It's an error. If you move your mouse over it, you'll also get the fix and all everything. So don't do this mistake, right? Secondly, inside the class, this is the main function. If you have studied C language, then in every language there is a main function. The control comes to the main function when you run the program for the very first time. Alright. The syntax of the main function is public static void main. Right. What is public? What is static? Look, all these things. Right now, I am not in a position to explain you, because to explain you these things, I need to explain you the concept of object-oriented programming. I will be coming over to it, but just be with me. Fine. Now, in the main function, the control comes up over for the very first time when the program runs. Right. Suppose I type something. The command to type something in Java is system.out.println, and I type in hello world in this. Okay. The shortcut is you type syso plus you hit control spacebar. Okay. So when you type this and you run the program, see it's printing hello world. That's fine. Okay. So this is a simple Java program which prints something. If you go to the physical location where you had stored the project, then in the source folder you will see sample.java file created in Eclipse. You will be able to relate that, right? And then there will be a folder known as bin. In the bin folder, if you open it, you will see sample.class file. When you open the sample.class file, you will not be able to understand it, right? It's all encoded, or whatever you say, machine language, whatever it is. I'm not going to the depth, but basically, when you compile a Java file, it gets converted into a class file. Sample.java was converted to sample.class in the bin folder, right? This class file is like an executable file. You can execute it. Okay, like for example, in C# you have the DLL files. DLL files are the executable files. Similarly, in Java you have got .class files. These are executable files. Every Java file gets converted to a class file. For example, in source folder, I'll create a new class and say call it as say hello.java. Fine. And inside this file, I write, say I have a string, say string x equals to hello Selenium, and I print the value of x. Look, that's what I'm assuming, basic things, you know what is string, what is integer, and all that stuff, right? So when you run it, it goes and it prints hello Selenium. And if you look in the bin folder, you will find the class file corresponding to hello.java. Okay, so in the source folder you will have the Java file. In the bin folder you will have the class file. Now what is the relevance of the class file? When we have to deliver the code to okay, and if we want to hide the source code from him, we can simply send him the class file. Okay, you don't need to give him the Java file. The program can also be directly executed from the class file. You can hide the source code. If you open class file, you will not be able to understand what's written inside it. Right now, practically in projects, right, there is not just one class file. There are 500 class files. There are 1,000 class files. So what do? When you're working in a project, you have got lot of class files, right? So when you have lot of files with you, so how do you give all the class files to the client? I hope you are getting my point, right? So what you can say, we can just files and send it to the client or whatever it is. In Java, what we do is that we put all the class files into a single packet or into a single file that is known as a dot jar file. Okay, so in Java we make a dot jar file. Jar file is nothing but a combination of many class files put together. Many of you might have heard the word jar file. Okay, every class, every Java file is converted to a class file. When lot of class files they combine together, they make a single jar file. Now I'll just explain this to you with a practical example. This JRE system library is Java which is installed in your system. Fine. If you expand this, you will get lot of files. If you expand any one of the jar files, you will see that it's got so many class files in it. Now these are the internal classes of Selenium of Java which you can use. Right. For example, in one of these files there is a class known as date. If I write over here system.out.println new date, just be with me, I'll tell you what I'm doing. Date is an internal class in Java which is residing somewhere in one of these jar files. Okay, I can show it to you. Hold on. Here is the date.class file. If I open it, you will not be able to see the contents, but it is associated with my project, so I can use it. Fine, right? And hold on, I have written new date over it over here. What do you mean by new date? Don't get confused with this. Just be with me. I'll tell you what it is. But I want to show you the output. If I run the program, it will print the current date, time, and everything. Okay. So I have used some internal class from Java over here, right? This date class I never made it, but I got it from Java, right? I don't know what is inside it, but still I can use it since it's provided to me. It's been provided to me in one of the jar files, and that's exactly what we do in Selenium as well. When we download Selenium, we get jar files. We associate those jar files in our project and we start using the features of Selenium. Like when we downloaded Java and installed Java, we got this, and I started using the features of Java by using string, by writing new date over here, and I got the date printed. Similarly, I have to download the jar file of Selenium as well. Selenium is not installed. Okay, it is configured in your system. If you install QTP, then QTP comes like an exe file. You install exe file, it gets installed on your system. Then the exe file you have to execute it and all that stuff. It is not like that in Selenium. In Selenium, you have to simply go to seleniumhq.org and you have to hold on. Go in the download link section of the website, right? This download section, and over here you will have the Java client 149, right? You can click on the download link, it will start downloading. Fine, I have it. Hold on, I will cancel. I have a version of Selenium with me. I have 2.35. That doesn't really make a big difference, right? Okay. When you download, you'll extract the zip file and you'll get this folder. Inside the folder, there will be these two jar files. Okay, and there will be many other jar files under the libs folder as well. You have to include all these jar files in your project. Okay, so how do you do that? You do that by going to the project right click on this project, right, go to the properties of the project, right. In the properties of the project you will see something known as Java build path over here. You have to select Java build path and you will have 4 tabs out here, fine. In 4 tabs you have to go to the libraries tab. Don't worry, I'm recording the session, you can also look at the recorded video for clarity, right. So there is a library tab over here in which already JRE system library is added. It's having number of jar files related to Java language. Now I can add external jars. I can select this option over here, add external jars, right, and I can manually add more jars into the project. I'll add these 2 jar files of Selenium, and also don't forget to add the jars which are present inside the lib folder, right. So add all the jar files, and when you do so, in the reference libraries you will actually see the jar files related to Selenium. So you can use these jars, right, and the classes present in them, okay, when you work with Selenium. That's how. Now how to use the jar files, how to use the classes which are present inside these jar files, how to work with Selenium basically. I have configured Selenium. Now how do I work with Selenium? To do that you need to understand the concept of object oriented programming, right. So I'll start with object oriented programming. I really don't want to start it right now because I cannot do it in 15 minutes, but still, look, if anybody is having any questions from today's session, please let me know. Anybody having any questions regarding anything?
So can you install like Selenium? It's like a plugin, right? Can you install it from that file, add extension?
That is IDE.
Oh, that's
You're talking about IDE. IDE gets added inside Mozilla as an extension.
Right, right. No, but if you click on file here in Eclipse,
Where?
in
Can you
the,
please be a little loud?
if you do file in the Eclipse tool, if you click on the menu, file menu,
Yeah.
and okay, I guess I had installed a different one. I have installed the other Eclipse tool, which is
Okay. I am using Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. You have to configure Selenium from the properties. You have to include the jar files.
you know, the one the next one.
Okay. 1 minute, just a minute. Hidu is asking a question. Assume that my organization uses PHP or Ruby in Selenium instead of Java, but I have knowledge in Java. Is it possible that still my module alone uses Java entity? Look, it's not so easy that you write half the code in PHP, half in Java. Don't do that, Hidu. Please don't do
I
that.
had installed the Eclipse IDE for Java developers, and there I could do it. There is like a web developer tool or something like that, and so that you can add the extension.
Yeah, you can also add there. There are n number of ways to do that.
So is it okay to have Eclipse IDE for Java developers, or you recommend to use Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers?
It's okay to have that one. Okay. Any question from anybody else?
Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, what happens if just the Selenium version get updated? Do you have to manually add the Selenium jar files to the project?
Yes, you have to manually add the jar files. If you don't want to manually add the jar files, then you have to use a tool known as Maven. Okay, that helps you to regulate the version of jar file in your program.
Yeah. Actually, now I remember. I used Maven, and then through Maven, I.
Okay, I got it. You got the jar files from me.
Yeah.
You use form.xml. Okay, I got it. Yeah. If you don't have to add the jar files manually, then there's a tool known as Maven. That's a very simple tool. It's not a big deal. You can get the jars from there as well.
Okay.
Anything else? Any questions from anybody?
How do we differentiate between GRID and GRID 2?
Now this question, if I answer, many people will not be able to understand. Look, in GRID 2 there are various added features. For example, there is a JSON configuration where you can specify each and every JSON file where you can specify the configuration for each and every node. If I tell you the basic overview, then GRID 2 is supporting WebDriver, GRID 1 is supporting RC, right? GRID 2 is little easy to configure, right? I don't want to go into the technical details because people out there will not be able to understand, right? So GRID 1 was primarily for RC, GRID 2 is primarily for WebDriver.
So what I understand is like, suppose you have to implement a project like to run test case on a multiple machine with the WebDriver, you have to use GRID 2, right? One.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks.
Anybody having any other questions?
Going to learn IDE and RC on this training, or we will learn from the recording?
We will be learning WebDriver for IDE and RC. I'll be giving you the recording.
So if we will face some problem, then how we will solve this?
I have a forum where you can post, or you can also reach me on Skype or email. I can help you out. Look, hardly anyone uses RC these days. So if you're learning it for the first time, don't waste your time to learn RC. Don't learn RC.
Yeah, I'm learning it in first time, but for the interview purpose, I think IDE and RC is required. That's why I'm asking.
For interview purpose, look, that's what I'm telling you. RC got deprecated in 2011. So hardly anybody uses RC these days. Okay, so first learn WebDriver, then go for interviews. If you feel the need of learning RC, then go and learn RC.
Okay.
Any other question? Any other question from anybody?
Ashish?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I mean, you are stressing the point that, I mean, learning WebDriver is alone for new person coming.
Can you be a little loud?
Yeah, is that audible now? Is that audible now?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you are advising that learning WebDriver is, I mean, good enough for new learners. So, so the training, I mean, but basically starts with IDE and RC, then WebDriver, right?
No, you can directly learn WebDriver as well. It's not that you first learn IDE, then RC, and then WebDriver. These are not interrelated.
how the training, I mean online training you are taking will flow, like starts with IDE, RC and WebDriver, or
I'll train on Java and I'll train on WebDriver. I'm not training on IDE and RC because of time constraints as well. And look at the practicality of the components first. IDE is not so practical, RC is old now. So if you are learning it, better spend your energy on something which is latest in the market. Learn WebDriver first.
oh great. So in that case, how long the course duration? Like, I mean, we're starting today, so how
Around
long? I mean,
20 to 25 classes.
Great. So it has Java basics of Selenium, Java and WebDriver alone, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Right. So fine. Now yeah, yes, along with the course you will get access to the videos as well. Now one more thing guys, don't think that you can share the login details of videos, and people try to do that. Please don't. Like when you register for the course, it's one person per account. For the videos you cannot share the login details. Sometimes people do that and then it creates a problem. So that's why I want to be very clear in the beginning, right? And anything from anybody else? I'll be emailing you the recorded session. Fine.